The rain never stopped in the lower levels of Orion 9, a trade station floating above the dead moon. Acid mist drifted through the streets, glowing with the light of alien signs. Music and whispers mixed with the hum of electric life. Every corner sold something illegal. Memory dust, cloned pets, black market tech, or worse. But tonight, the loudest noise came from Bohr's synthetic bazaar. A fat dealer with silver tusks shouted from behind his shining glass cases. His voice carried through the crowd like thunder. "Guaranteed. Your money back if she doesn't satisfy you tonight." The words echoed down the metallic walkway. Curious travelers stopped. Some laughed. Some stared. Behind the dealer stood rows of glass tubes, each holding a motionless figure, a woman-shaped machine glowing under blue lights. Their eyes were closed, their bodies perfect and still. Every one of them looked designed to please whoever bought them. A human man, quiet and tall, stopped at the edge of the booth. His name was Elias Rane, an engineer and scavenger from Earth. His clothes were worn, his hands rough from years of working with ship engines. He was not rich, not charming, and not looking for company, but something about the dealer's words made him stop. The dealer noticed him instantly. He smiled, showing metallic teeth. "You look like a lonely traveler, friend. Need some warmth for the cold nights of space? Step closer. Take a look. Best models in the sector." Elias shook his head. "I'm not interested in toys." Bohr laughed. "They're not toys. They're companions. No arguments, no demands. Just what you program them to be." He waved a thick hand toward the rows of tubes. "Guaranteed satisfaction, or your credits back." Elias sighed and turned to leave, but something caught his eye. At the end of the row stood a figure different from the rest. Her skin was faintly golden, not the pale silver of standard androids. Her hair shimmered with faint blue light as if reflecting stars. Most strange of all, her eyes were open. She was staring directly at him. Elias froze. None of the others moved, but this one blinked slowly, like someone alive. Her eyes were wide, fearful and filled with something he could not explain. Not programming, not circuitry, something human. He stepped closer to the glass. The dealer followed his gaze and grinned. "Ah, you've got good taste, traveler. That one's a special model. Rare, experimental design. Calls herself X9. Half organic, half machine. She's warm, she breathes, she even dreams." Elias frowned. "She looks scared." Bohr chuckled. "It's the realism settings. Very advanced. You won't find better anywhere." But Elias wasn't listening. The figure inside the tube moved again, just a twitch of her fingers pressing against the glass as if she wanted out. He saw the faint trace of a tear slide down her cheek. Machines didn't cry. A shiver ran through him. "What's her price?" Bohr's eyes gleamed. "For you, friend, 20,000 credits. That's too high. She's unique. Built for emotion simulation, responsive touch, adaptive behavior. She'll love you if you want her to. And if she doesn't..." He laughed again. "Money back." Elias should have walked away. He had come to the market for spare ship parts, not trouble. But he couldn't stop staring at those golden eyes behind the glass. They were begging. He didn't know why, but he felt it. He lowered his voice. "Is she really synthetic?" The dealer hesitated only for a second, then nodded quickly. "Of course, certified by the Central Tech Guild. You can scan her chip yourself." Elias nodded slowly, but his gut said something else. He pulled out his data card. "I'll take her." Bohr blinked in surprise. "Now that's fast business." He slapped the counter and barked at his assistants. "Release Unit X9. Prep her for transfer." The glass tube hissed open. The girl, X9, stumbled forward, weak and trembling. Her long hair clung to her face as if she'd been inside for days. The blue light of the market made her glow faintly. She was beautiful, but not in a mechanical way. She was too real. When the dealer shoved a data tablet toward Elias for signature, X9 looked up at him with wide, terrified eyes. "Please," she whispered, voice shaking. "Don't send me back." Elias froze. His pen hovered in the air. Machines didn't beg. The dealer laughed again. Ha! The speech module's already learning. See how real she sounds? You'll love her. Elias forced a small nod and signed. The transfer chip beeped green. Boar leaned closer and whispered, "Be gentle with her, human. She's delicate and valuable. Don't go opening her up to see what's inside, or you'll void your refund." Elias said nothing. He wrapped a cloak around the trembling figure and guided her out of the shop. As they stepped into the rain, she clung to his arm like a frightened child. The street outside was quiet now. The market lights flickered behind them. Elias led her through narrow alleys toward the landing dock. His small ship, the Vanguard, waited there, humming softly. When they reached the ramp, she stopped. "You're taking me away?" she asked in a low voice. "Yes," Elias said simply. "You're not safe here." She looked confused. "But you paid for me." He hesitated. "Yeah." She studied his face for a long moment, then whispered, "You didn't buy me. You saved me." Elias didn't know what to say. He guided her into the ship. The hatch closed behind them with a hiss. The sound of rain faded away. Inside, the dim lights flickered on. The Vanguard was small, messy, filled with tools and cables. X9 sat quietly on the seat near the control panel, still clutching the cloak around her shoulders. Elias began running diagnostics on the control board, pretending not to stare at her. But she kept watching him, her golden eyes following his every move. He finally asked, "You got a shutdown code?" She frowned. "Shutdown? You know, command to rest mode, or whatever your system calls it." She shook her head slowly. "I don't know what that means." He looked at her, puzzled. "You don't know your own commands?" She hugged herself. "I don't remember anything before the cage, just light, pain, then darkness." Elias stared at her in silence. Something was wrong. She didn't speak like a program, she spoke like a frightened person. He scanned her wrist for a serial chip, but found nothing. Just smooth, warm skin. He stepped back. "You don't have a chip." She looked up, afraid. "Is that bad?" "It means you're not registered." His voice lowered. "You're not an android." Her breath caught. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she whispered, "Please don't take me back." Elias looked into those golden eyes again. There was no machine there, just fear. Real, human fear. He rubbed his face. "All right, we'll figure this out. But first rest." He turned to start the ship. As the engines powered up, she flinched at the vibration. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lyra," she said softly. "They called me X9, but my name is Lyra." "Okay, Lyra, we're leaving this place." Outside, deep in the market, Boar watched the freighter lift off into the dark clouds. He tapped his comlink nervously. "Unit X9 has been sold to a human," he said. "A human?" a cold voice replied. "Yes, sir, paid in full." "You fool, that's not a unit. That's one of them." Boar froze. "You mean, she's alive. Track that ship. If the human learns the truth, we're finished." Boar swallowed hard. "Understood." He turned to his guards. "Get me the hunters. Now." Up in orbit, Elias watched the planet lights fade through the window. Lyra sat beside him, her gaze fixed on the stars. She seemed calm for the first time, her breathing soft, almost peaceful. He asked quietly, "Where are you from, Lyra?" She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered something strange, soft and melodic, in a language he didn't understand. The lights in the cabin flickered as if responding to her voice. "What was that?" he asked. "I don't know," she said, trembling. "It just came out." Elias frowned. "You're no android." "I'm not," she whispered. "But if they find me, they'll kill you too." He stared at her, realization slowly dawning. "Then we better make sure they don't." The ship sped into the void, engines burning blue against the dark. Somewhere behind them, tracking signals blinked to life, and far below, The dealer Zamar. Words echoed in Elias's mind. Guaranteed your money back if she doesn't satisfy you tonight. He had no idea that the woman he'd bought would change not just his life, but the fate of worlds. The Vanguard drifted quietly through the black sea of stars. Engines whispered in the silence, and the hull glowed faintly blue. Elias sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the endless dark ahead. His thoughts would not rest. A few hours ago, he had walked into a market to buy ship parts. Now a living alien woman sat sleeping on his ship. He turned to look. Lyra lay curled on the small bunk near the wall. Her breathing was slow and light. A golden glow shimmered faintly under her skin, like a heartbeat of light. Even in rest, she looked unreal, too perfect, too fragile. Elias sighed and rubbed his face. "What did I get myself into?" he muttered. He scanned the ship logs again, checking for any signals. Everything seemed clear, but deep inside he felt uneasy. He had seen fear in her eyes, the kind that machines could never fake. Suddenly, the console beeped. A small red light flashed on the comm screen. Tracking signal detected. Elias cursed softly. They're already looking for her. He switched off the beacon and locked the transmission systems. But he knew it wouldn't be enough for long. Whoever sold her would come. They always came. Lyra stirred and opened her eyes. She looked around, confused but calm. "Where are we?" she asked softly. "In orbit," Elias replied, "far away from that filthy market." She sat up, her hair falling over her face. "You saved me," Elias shrugged. "Maybe, but I think I just bought us both trouble." She smiled faintly, though her eyes looked sad. "I don't want to cause trouble." "Too late for that," he said, trying to sound lighter. "You mind telling me what you are?" Lyra hesitated. "I don't know. I remember flashes. A bright room, people in white armor. They said they were fixing me. Then pain. Then nothing. When I woke up, I was in that glass prison." Elias frowned. "You remember nothing before that?" She shook her head. "Only my name." He studied her face carefully. There were no robotic seams, no metal, no artificial lines. She looked human. But the golden veins under her skin glowed whenever she spoke. And sometimes the lights around her flickered. "Your body reacts to energy," he said quietly. "I feel the stars," she whispered. "When I close my eyes, I can hear them hum." Elias blinked. "You can hear stars?" She nodded. "They sing. It's like they talk to each other." Elias didn't know what to say. He had met many alien races, but none like her. Something about her felt ancient, not made, but born. He stood up and went to the kitchen module, pulling out a small pack of rations. "You eat?" Lyra looked uncertain. "I think so." He gave her a small energy bar. She bit it carefully, her movements graceful, almost childlike. "It tastes strange," she said. "Yeah," Elias said with a small laugh. "That's human food for you." A moment of quiet passed between them. The ship hummed. Beyond the window, a planet's blue ring passed slowly by. Then Lyra spoke again. "Why did you buy me?" Elias looked down at the floor. "I don't know. Maybe because I saw fear in your eyes. Maybe because everyone else just saw a product." She studied him, her golden eyes shining faintly. "Most humans would not care." He gave a tired smile. "I'm not most humans." Later, as she slept again, Elias worked on the ship's engine. His tools clanked softly. He kept glancing toward her, wondering if he should report what he'd found. The law was clear. Biological contraband meant prison, maybe death, but he couldn't do it. Something inside him wouldn't allow it. As he tightened a bolt, a faint hum rose in the air. The lights dimmed. The ship's energy core flickered. Elias froze. "Lyra," he called. She was standing behind him, eyes glowing bright gold. "I heard them," she said softly. "The hunters. They're coming." He dropped his tool. "What do you mean?" "I can feel their signals," she said. "They are searching for me. They used a mark inside my body to track me." Elias swore. "Can you stop it?" "I can try." She closed her eyes. The golden glow around her skin brightened until the entire cabin shimmered. Sparks of light floated around her like dust caught in sunlight. The tracking alarm on the console went silent. Elias stared in shock. "You did it." Lyra opened her eyes, weak and pale. "Not for long. They will find me again." Elias helped her sit down. "Then we'll keep moving." Hours later, the Vanguard entered deep space. The ship's systems were quiet except for the steady pulse of the engine. Elias sat beside Lyra in the control room. She looked out the window, lost in the stars. "I've seen those places before," she whispered suddenly. Elias turned. "What places?" She pointed. "Those star clusters. I remember them. I think I lived there once." "So you're not from Orion 9? "No, my world was different. Warm skies. Silver rivers. I remember flying without ships, just light and air." Her voice trembled. "But then, the machines came. They said we were dangerous. They took us." Elias's chest tightened. "They captured your people?" She nodded slowly. "They said they would improve us, but they turned us into things for sale." He clenched his fists. That dealer, he knew. "He lied to me. He lies to everyone," Lyra said softly. "They call my kind seraphs. Our bodies store energy from stars. That's why we glow. That's why they want us." Elias's mind raced. "Star energy. You're like a living reactor." Lyra looked down. "I don't want to be that." He reached over, touching her shoulder gently. "You're not a machine, Lyra. You're alive." For the first time, she smiled. "You sound like you believe it." "I do." Suddenly, the ship's alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. "Incoming vessels detected." Elias jumped to the controls. "They found us!" 3 dots appeared on the radar, moving fast. Small hunter crafts, armed and fast. Lyra gripped the seat, fear filling her golden eyes. "They won't stop," Elias muttered. "Then neither will we." He pushed the throttle forward. The engines roared, sending the Vanguard into a wild spin through the asteroid belt ahead. Rocks and debris slammed against the shields. The hunters followed, lasers cutting through the dark. Elias twisted the controls, dodging between spinning asteroids. "Hold on!" The ship shook violently. A blast hit the rear engine, alarms blaring. Smoke filled the cockpit. Lyra cried out, "Elias!" He fought the controls, steering hard left. "We can't outrun them." "I'll try to hide us inside that crater." He dove toward a massive asteroid with a deep hollow. The ship scraped along its surface, sparks flying, and finally slid into the shadow. Everything went silent. Elias killed the lights and held his breath. Outside, search beams passed slowly over the rocks. Lyra whispered, "They're scanning." Elias nodded quietly. "Stay still. No noise." For long minutes, nothing moved. Then one of the hunter ships drifted closer. Its engines hummed outside, too close. Lyra's hands shook. The glow under her skin brightened uncontrollably. "I can't stop it. My body reacts to fear." Elias grabbed her hand. "Breathe. You're okay." But the golden light pulsed brighter and brighter. The ship's sensors picked it up. The hunters turned toward them. "They saw us," Elias hissed. "Hang on!" He slammed the engines to full power. The Vanguard burst out of the crater, spinning into open space. Blaster fire followed. One beam grazed the hull, melting the outer layer. The ship screamed as if alive. Lyra pressed her palms together. A surge of golden energy erupted from her body. It spread through the cabin like sunlight through water. Outside, the nearest hunter ship flickered and exploded. Elias stared in disbelief. "You did that?" Lyra gasped for air, eyes dimming. "I didn't mean to. It just happened." He caught her before she fell. "You saved us. But I hurt them. They were going to kill us." She looked into his eyes. "I don't want to hurt anyone." "I know," he said softly. "But now they know what you can do." The radar still flashed red. 2 more hunters closing in. Elias steered the ship toward a narrow asteroid tunnel, the only path left. The Vanguard squeezed through, scraping metal, sparks raining inside. Lyra clung to him, weak but awake. "We'll make it," he said. Behind them, explosions echoed. The tunnel collapsed, sealing the way. The hunters vanished from the radar. When silence returned, both of them breathed heavily. The lights flickered back to normal. Lyra looked around, trembling. "Are we safe?" "For now," Elias said. "But they won't give up." She leaned against him, exhausted. "Why are you helping me?" He looked at her gently. "Because no one helped me when I needed it." Lyra blinked. "You were a slave too?" "In a way," he said. "To my work, to loneliness. Maybe we're both running from cages." She smiled weakly. "Then let's not stop running." He smiled back. "Deal." Hours later, Lyra slept again. Elias sat beside her, watching the quiet glow under her skin. He didn't understand how or why, but he knew one thing. She wasn't just some lost alien. She was something bigger, something powerful, maybe even divine. He whispered to himself, "Guaranteed money back, huh? I think I just bought the galaxy's biggest secret." Outside the window, 1,000 stars burned across the void. But one red light still blinked faintly on the console. A new signal. The hunters were calling for reinforcements. And somewhere deep in the darkness, the dealer smiled coldly. "You can run, human," he said into the comm. "But you can't hide from the gods we built." The stars outside looked peaceful, but Elias knew peace never lasted long in this galaxy. The Vanguard floated in the quiet shadow of a broken moon, its lights dimmed and its engines cooling. Inside, Elias worked on the cracked control panels with tired eyes and grease-stained hands. Every few minutes he looked over his shoulder, checking on Lyra. She lay asleep in the co-pilot seat, her head resting against the glass window. The soft golden light under her skin shimmered faintly. Even in the darkness, she looked like a small sun wrapped in human form. But the ship's systems warned him. Her energy levels were unstable. Whatever power she carried, it was burning her from within. Elias tightened one last bolt, then leaned back with a sigh. "We can't keep running," he whispered. A small flicker appeared on the radar. 1, then 2, then 3 red dots. They were moving fast. Elias's heart dropped. The hunters found them again. He shook Lyra gently. "Lyra, wake up! We've got company." She opened her eyes slowly. "Already?" "Yeah, I don't know how, but they're tracking us again." She sat up, panic rising in her voice. "I tried to break the signal. They shouldn't. It doesn't matter. We have to move." Elias jumped to the pilot's seat and powered up the engines. The ship trembled as the thrusters engaged. Outside, 3 dark shapes appeared from the far side of the moon. Sleek black ships with red lights glowing like demon eyes. "Bounty hunters." Lyra gripped the seat. "They won't stop." "They want me back." Elias gritted his teeth. "Then they'll have to catch us first." The Vanguard shot forward, weaving between asteroid fragments. The hunters followed, firing bursts of plasma. The stars flashed past like streaks of light as the chase began. "Hold on," Elias shouted. The first explosion shook the hull. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Lyra pressed her palms together, whispering something in her strange musical voice. The air around her shimmered. "What are you doing?" Elias asked. "Trying to protect us," she said softly. A golden sphere of light expanded around the ship. Plasma blasts hit the shield and scattered like raindrops. Elias glanced at the sensors, energy output spiking beyond safe levels. "You'll drain yourself." Lyra smiled weakly. "Better me than you." Another blast rocked the ship. Elias pulled hard on the controls, sending them diving into the debris of a shattered battleship. Twisted metal floated everywhere, forming a maze of wreckage. The Vanguard slipped between broken hulls and torn engines. The hunters followed, but their heavy ships scraped against the debris. Elias used the moment to breathe. "You're doing great, Lyra." She nodded but looked pale. "I can't hold the shield much longer." "Then let's make it count," he said. He steered toward the wreck's core, a massive engine reactor still humming faintly. When the hunters came close, he fired the Vanguard's last missile into the reactor. The explosion was blinding. The shockwave threw the ship across space. Alarms screamed, lights flickered, and both of them were thrown against their seats. When the smoke cleared, the radar showed only 1 red dot remaining. Elias smiled. 2 down, but the last hunter was different. Bigger, faster. It launched a magnetic harpoon that slammed into the Vanguard's tail. The line glowed red as it began to reel them in. Lyra gasped. "They're pulling us." Elias tried to break free, but the engines whined helplessly. "We're stuck." He looked at her. "Can you do that energy thing again?" She shook her head weakly. "I'm too tired." The ship jerked violently. The hunter's vessel loomed ahead, a massive black cruiser, its symbol glowing like a red claw. The comm screen flickered to life. A cold voice filled the cabin. "Human vessel Vanguard, you are harboring stolen property. Surrender the unit known as X9 or be destroyed." Elias clenched his fists. "She's not property." The voice laughed. "Everything has a price, human. Even you." Lyra stood slowly, her golden eyes glowing brighter. "I am not your creation," the voice replied, cruel and calm. "You are what we made you, an experiment that escaped. We will erase you and start again." Elias shouted. "You'll have to go through me first." "Gladly," the voice said, and the transmission ended. The hunter's ship charged its cannons. Blue light gathered at its core. Elias's mind raced. No weapons left, shields failing, engines trapped. There was only one chance left, manual override. He turned to Lyra. Can you trust me? She nodded. Always. Good, I'm going to cut the tether manually. It's outside. You'll have to keep them from firing while I do it. Lyra's eyes widened. That's suicide. Yeah, he said with a grin, but better than surrender. He grabbed his suit and helmet. Before stepping into the airlock, he paused and looked at her one last time. If I don't make it, you will, she said quickly. Because I'll make sure of it. Outside, space was silent and endless. Elias floated along the hull, gripping the tether line with both hands. The magnetic cable burned hot, pulsing with energy. He took out his plasma cutter and aimed. Almost there, he muttered. Inside, Lyra sat in the pilot's seat. Her hands trembled over the controls. The enemy ship charged its main cannon, a glowing sphere of death ready to fire. She closed her eyes. Please, stars, help me. Her body began to glow again, brighter than before. The light filled the cabin, spreading through every wire and panel. The Vanguard systems came alive as if touched by divine fire. Outside, Elias felt it. The ship pulsed beneath him, a heartbeat of light. He sliced through the tether. The hunter's cannon fired at the same moment. The beam hit. But instead of burning through, it split apart, scattering around the golden shield Lyra had created. Elias was thrown back but managed to grab the railing. Lyra, you did it! Her voice came weakly through the comm. I don't know how long I can hold it. He climbed back inside, panting. The control panels glowed golden, alive with her energy. Then let's finish this. He turned the ship toward the hunter. You wanted her? He growled. Come get her. The Vanguard accelerated straight at the enemy ship. The hunter fired again and again, but the golden light devoured every blast. At the last second, Elias pulled up, and Lyra extended her hands. A storm of energy exploded from the Vanguard. The hunter ship vanished in a wave of gold and fire. Silence returned. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The stars outside burned quietly, uncaring. Elias turned to see Lyra slumped in her seat, her glow fading. Lyra! He rushed to her side. Her skin was cold, her eyes half open. I'm okay, she whispered weakly. Just tired, he shook his head. You used too much energy, she smiled faintly. It was worth it. We're safe now. Elias sat beside her, holding her hand gently. Safe isn't the word I'd use. We just turned a warship into dust. Her lips curved into a soft smile. Then maybe they'll think twice before chasing us. He laughed quietly. You really are something, Lyra. Her eyes met his. Do you regret buying me? He hesitated, then smiled. No, not for a second. A few hours later, Elias ran diagnostics again. The Vanguard was barely holding together. Power cells were fried, engines at half strength. They needed a place to hide and repair. He opened the star map. The nearest safe zone was Vareth 12, an abandoned mining station in a dead system. Looks like we've got a destination, he said. Lyra stirred beside him. Vareth 12, she whispered. I remember that name. You've been there? I think so. Before they took me. Elias frowned. Then maybe we'll find something useful there. He set the course. The ship turned toward the distant system, engines humming softly. Meanwhile, far behind them, the dealer Boar stood in his office, watching the destruction feed on his holoscreen. The image showed the hunter ship's final moment, golden light consuming it completely. He slammed his fist on the desk. Damn it! A tall figure in a black coat stepped from the shadows. His eyes glowed red, voice deep and calm. You told me she was contained. Boar swallowed. I sold her cheap to a human. You thought wrong, the man said. Do you have any idea what she is? That woman is not just a slave. She's a seraph, one of the last. Boar trembled. I can fix this. No, the man interrupted. You've done enough. I'll handle it. He turned toward the window, watching the stars. If the seraph bonds with that human, it could destroy the balance. We can't let that happen. Boar's voice shook. What do you want me to do? Find them, the man said coldly, before she remembers what she truly is. Back on the Vanguard, Lyra watched the stars passing by. They're not giving up, are they? She asked softly. Elias shook his head. No, but neither are we, she smiled faintly. I like that answer. He leaned back, eyes heavy but heart steady. We'll fix the ship on Vareth 12, then figure out our next move. Lyra closed her eyes again. Thank you, Elias. For what? For treating me like I'm real. He looked at her glowing hand resting in his. You are real, Lyra. Maybe the most real thing I've ever met. The stars stretched ahead, endless and bright. Neither of them noticed the faint red beacon blinking under the hull. The hunter's last trick. A signal. A call. The chase was far from over.